So my name is Ignacio Ampiti. I'm a professor here at Kansas State University and one of the directors for the Institute for Digital Ag and Advanced Analytics. And then we have different workshops. So the Institute put together like multiple workshops during the day for the conference. And this workshop specifically is going to be focused on trying to see how we can move some of the data visualization, because what Shiny is basically just a visualization tool. So how do we move data that is very static into something that it would look like more dynamic? And then what we are doing in many of these Shiny tools, we are trying to basically give the data a second chance, like everything that is too static, how we can move it into something that is more dynamic and improve visualization. And in many situations, it's also gives an opportunity to start connecting data. And you will see that many of these tools, they're going to be ending to be also a little bit as a data repository, rather than having data on Harvard Dataverse or any other repositories. You could also have data repositories here. And some of the features that we're going to go through is also you might have opportunities to let people, let your audience to also contribute data. So not only that you will have data that you can visualize, but also there will be an opportunity that you can let people to enter data into the tool. And that will be something very neat, because I mean, for many things that we are thinking is that the goal of having people using the tool is great, but the option of having people also getting data into the tool and getting some images, I mean, those are the things that we're gonna discuss. So, and I have people from our team here. So Gustavo Santiago. He's gonna be our main instructor today and one of the Shiny experts in our team. So he's doing a master's, and then he has been working in Shiny. Then Pedro Cisdeli is also a student in our team and also an expert in I would say more computer science too, but Shiny too. I mean, lately, working on many different Shiny tools. And then also Carlos Hernandez is also a master student in our team, and he has been working on multiple aspects on data analysis, data science, and also contributing to the Shiny. So with that, I think that we can start getting into the theory. So Gustavo is gonna walk us in the theory, and then we will stop for a little bit and then trying to look at some examples.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Gustavo, as you already know. And this will be our agenda. First, I'm going to present you a little bit on what is Shiny, a little introduction. Then preparation, that is an important step for everything that we're going to do related to digital apps, digital tools. And then I'll go through a layout of what is the layout that we can have using Shiny, mainly Flex Dashboard, that it's another package for Shiny. Then a basic structure of a Shiny app. Then I'll show how the main ways that we can import data. Then I'll go to the widgets the main widgets that we can have on this. Show information, how we can show the information by Shiny. Teach you the reactivity, what makes the Shiny different from a static thing. Then the installation, show you how we can install. Then you go to a hands-on using Flex Dashboard that you, as Ignacio told, go through a already built app, and then you go build by yourselves. Then I will just go through a little bit of more advanced features, and then question and answer. So what is Shiny? So Shiny is a framework that uses R as the primary developing language. R, as you already know, it's a computing language that it's mainly used for science. We can use it for other things. That the main purpose of R is to analyze data and for science. But what is a framework? Framework, it's a bunch of libraries that make your life easier when you are doing a digital application or any other things. Imagine that this brick, these Lego bricks are a library, such as ggplot or deeplir. A framework would be the box that you can buy this set of Lego bricks. They're there, you can mount whatever you want, but you have the set of bricks. Yes, in the case of Shiny, the set of libraries that are part of Shiny. So Shiny combines front with back ends. So what is front and back ends? Front, bringing to an analogy, it's the menu of the digital world. So it's what you can see. That's the front. It's what you can see. And back ends would be, in analogy, the cooker, the chef. That makes what you can't see in the thinking on a restaurant. You can't see the chef, but they're there making everything work for you to have your dinner. So bringing this to the digital part, the menu, the front end, it's what you can see. What's there, the buttons, the drop downs, the maps, the plots, and the back end, the chef, it's all the function behind it. It's the table manipulation, the formulas, the models, and the generation of the plots. So Shiny makes the development of web applications easier than other frameworks. Why? Because Shiny just use R. Like other frameworks, in the past I was developing some application. I was using 3 frameworks and 3 different computing languages. Was a mess. But with R, with Shiny, sorry, I would just use R. This can be the Shiny would be just for, as the professor said, a more simple application that you're going to show people your research. And there's other frameworks that I won't talk about. It's more for more complicated things. So Shiny makes this development of the simple applications easier. Instead of using 3 computing languages, you're just going to use R. And Shiny allows you to develop simple but powerful applications using R. The main purpose, as Professor said, is to show the research to the public. Instead of having those static tables full of information, that's important information was your research, but let's be honest, no farmer will open a paper and see the table and no, they won't. Instead of that, it's easier to make an application. I brought some examples here to show to you. So this was an example made in Kansas, as you can see there in the map, was a nitrogen research made in 115 trials here. 115 trials all around Kansas. Then we had this huge database, but no one will see this huge database. So we thought on developing this app to show the trials. This was also developed by our team that does almost the same thing, but in Argentina. And this we made from data collected in Senegal. This table is huge. It's huge. And it has different subjects on the table. So we thought on building this application to make it easy to show the research that we got to the public. It was also published at this application. I can show you later. So preparation. The most important step is the first one you're going to do. So what's the first step in developing tools? It's the preparation, to plan how you're going to do it. Because if you start doing that, like, oh, I want to do this, start programming, in the end, you're going to have a mess in your code. And you're going to maybe have something there in the end that if you planned it in the beginning would make your life very easier. So to plan how to develop the right to the point tool, you have to ask yourself and the team the following questions. So first, what do my PI or my stakeholders want? What do they want? They want an app that has, I don't know, that user can interact, the user can make an account, user can I just show the data, and what do they want? Then you list these things. Then, how can I deliver the message? Would be through a plot, would be through a map, cards, text. How can I deliver the message that my stakeholders or my PI wants? How will the users interact with the data? What will they select to visualize? And how will be the design of my application? How will be sorted my inputs, my outputs in my application? Because this part of design is very important on how the user will see your app, the perception of the application. And thinking on design, you have a layout that you can have many tools to plan how the layout of your app will be. Can it be by a paper, a single part of paper that you can make? You can just do like this. Imagine that this is okay. Let me try something. Another thought. Imagine that this is your window, your Internet Explorer. Well, people don't use Internet Explorer anymore, but okay. Let me plan. So this in here I want a drop down. In here I want a slider. In here I want another thing, and here it can show a map, and here it can show a plot. This is the most simple one that you could do in a piece of paper and with a pen. And then you can move on using PowerPoint or Canva to bring colors to this and to present to your API and see, is this what you want? Am I on the right place? And then you have feedbacks and then readjust everything. So we can have many possible layouts using Flex Dashboard. I'm gonna show you the ones you can have. These links, as this presentation, are come on, yeah, they will be in the website.
In the website, and
Yes.
then we're gonna have copies. So don't just take notes if you want to take notes, but don't worry about take notes of all the slides because we are bringing copies for everyone. So just take notes on the context because you will have access to all the slides right now.
So here's are some layouts that you can have using Flex Dashboard. Shiny has many different ways that you can build Shiny. You can build it with simple pure Shiny, pure Shiny, that you can have an app and a server. But this approach that we are going to show you using Flex Dashboard is the easiest one to begin with Shiny. That you can use. I'll explain this later. Just to know why I'm mentioning Flex Dashboard here. So we can have this. You can have just two charts. It's fixed. You can scroll. This you can have multiple charts scrolling. Don't need to take notes or everything. I'm just showing you. You can have one chart in the top, two in the bottom. You can divide them, put them the left, the right. Divide in four like a grid. You can have a column, a tab set here that you can choose from one to another. You can have them as rows. You can have multiple pages. They don't have an example here. You can have a sidebar that you, as I did there before, you put everything that users will select on the side and leave the other parts to show. And yeah, that's the main ones. So, as I mentioned, we are going to show you using Flex Dashboard, but using pure Shiny, the layouts can be endless, but they're complicated to work in the first hand. In the Flex Dashboard, as I told you, we use R Markdown. That is a different structure of R that we are used to. It uses chunks. It's a document that in the end you can have a HTML, PDF, or Word documents. It's good. R Markdown is good that you can type information, then make a chunk with the code. I use it to for homeworks. We can put the explanation and then put the chunk with the code, and then we can show the professor the code and the output. And R Markdown uses the following structure. That here, in the beginning, we can have separate with this dash. We have the title, the date, and the output. This is not our app. This is just the structure of R Markdown. You can have you have here, then you have an initial chunk to set up. So this you can load your libraries and load your data. And in the end, here you can have a text that you can show. And here you have a chunk that you run the codes. The output of this will be like this. And here you have a title, the date, the text that we see in this part, and this chunk of code, you generate a plot that will be shown in the document, that being a Word, a PDF, or an HTML. So since we can have different layouts, we can have different structures, but they are very similar in one sense. I don't know if it's big enough to everyone see, but okay. So here they're similar to the one I showed before. We can have the title here and the output that is informed. That's a Flex Dashboard output. Title inform, I forgot to pass. But then in here, we can have everything that will be in this structure between this equal sign and this equal sign will be in one page. So everything between them is one page. Then everything between this dash and the other dash will be in a column, because here we are setting it to column. And the output of this will be like this, that we have here a chart. It's chart because the name is chart, not have to be a chart. But you can see here that in this part, we have just one chunk, meaning one part here, meaning that this will be the chart. And here we have two charts separated by this column. That will be this column, chart 2, chart 3. Here, chart 2 and chart 3. And since we are orienting this in the top here as rows, everything that will be in this part will be a row. It's a little bit messy now, but when we bring the example through, it will be way more clear. Everything between this part will be a row, one row, because they are between the dash signs here, and everything between this below this dash will be another row. So this will be the structure, and we can have one row here, that is this row, and these other two that are this other two. As I said before, that initial chunk will be for importing data. How can we import the data? Because this we are going to show the data. We can easily import, as we do in our coding, just by read .csv and then import our CSV. This was the main way that we were importing data in the beginning. It's easy because is easier because the data is already in the app. When you're going to deploy it, put in the cloud so other people see, will be already there. So it's easy. It's simple, just a line. But if your data is too heavy, you have too much data, you start having some trouble with that because the app will be a little bit slow. Because remember that I told you that R makes the front and the back in the same thing. So maybe the server will be too much for the server to process, and the same thing, and it will make the application slow if we have too much data. Alternatives are use Google Excel Sheets. Then you can import the data from Google Excel Sheets. You don't have to load the data each time the app starts. And for huge data sets, you can retrieve or from online repositories. It's recommended to use APIs. I think that since you already work with R, you already know how to use some APIs. One example, big example that I remember now, it's NASA Power that can retrieve those huge part of data using an API. It will be the same thing. You're going to import the data from NASA Power through an API, and then you can use the data normally in your application. And widgets. How can the user select what they want in the tool? So here we can have buttons that you can click. Here you can have checkbox that you select. I want that with only one. And here you can select all that apply. That you can select multiple checkbox, multiple choices. A date, select one date or a date range, and select from the data to the other date. Sorry, from one date to another date. You can upload a file that I don't know, maybe user wants to try with their own data. Then you include this widget so the user can upload their data and then try the app with their data. You can have a help text, numeric input, where the user input the numbers that they want to for your app to do something. We can have a radio button that is different from a checkbox. In the checkbox, we can select multiple things. You could select choice 1, choice 2, and choice 3. However, in radio, we can select just one choice. The select box, which I used to call the drop down, but you select, it's a menu that you click there, it goes down, and you can select the one you want or more than one. Here you can have the slides, and you can have a single one or a range of values. And here it's a text that the user will just input a simple text. So more libraries to pay attention, besides the Flex dashboard where you can see the layouts, are the Shiny widgets. There's a presentation will be in the cloud, so you can also click in the link. And these Shiny widgets, you can have numerous widgets. They come already with different designs, and you can have other widgets to use in your application to best choose the one that best fits for your application. And to show information, you can have a text where you show in the screen a warning or providing information from the inputs. We can have cards that are just a right to the point information. Like we have a card. I'll show to you here. Card is something like card is this thing right here. This is a card where I show write the information that you want with a little bit of text here down informing what is that, but it's right to the point. It's colorful, has an icon, so it gets the attention of the user. Let's go back. And plots. We can also have plots, ggplot, that I think everybody already know ggplot because we can plot our data. And in case of Shiny, we can have Plotly, that is another library that shows a ggplot with more reactive, in a more reactive way. So you can hover the mouse on the plot, and you can see some information on the plot. In the end, when I'm going to show you the examples, I will show you better how Plotly works. Images, that you can display images based on user inputs. So imagine that you have an app that shows different outputs from different planters, for example. And maybe the user gets confused on how the different planters work. So include an image showing the different planters that the user selected. And maps that you can have a it's difficult to say this, the curl path map, that are those maps with colors, different parts representing different colors, or a raster. Reactivity. Reactivity is that allows a website to be dynamic and to interact with the user. Instead of having just a static page that has just display information, reactivity allows the user to interact. So the user clicks a button and the app does something. That's reactivity. In Shiny, the main reactivity functions depends on the desired input. So if we have a function like this, render text, this will create a text output. Render plot will render a plot. And more general, render UI will create reactive widgets, cards, and many other outputs that you want. These three are the main ones. This part will be confusing, but showing will become crystal clear. So to retrieve data, the user input on the widget, I'll go there. We use this part. Can you? Okay. We use this thing that is slider input. We open this bracket, and then we put an input ID. This we're going to create a widget. So, and this input $, and we got the same input ID, the same name. We retrieve the value that the user has included. So let's suppose that the user selected a value of 3 in this slide. So to get this value of 3 that the user input, we use input, $, and the input name. To create the output responses, we use this UI output with the name that we are going to display the output, and the output $, and the name of the response. Yes, I know it's confusing. Let me provide you some example. So here it's a very simple. The color of the background it's there because it's the one I want. I just play the screen. So here, as I said, we have the name of the input. In this case, it's numeric, and we have here an input ID, workshop example input. We have here a label and a value. On our app will be like this: enter a number, the same as the name, and the initial value that we selected will be 5. And here we have the input ID, which is workshop example input. In the output, as I said, output $, workshop example output. This we are creating what we are going to display. This will be inside of here. We have the function that later we're going to use to display the information. So here is a render text, as I said before, open brackets, open, don't remember the name of this, but okay, input number, that we are creating a variable to store the input $, workshop example input, is the name of the input we created. The output of this will be a string where you can paste, you have entered the number, dots, input number, that is the variable we created. And here we are creating the output that to use this value, this string that we created here. The output ID, workshop example output. Workshop example output. It will be the same one. And we are going to create this one. Click next something to solve this. Yes. As you can see, it reacts because it automatically changes the value.
It's like when you input type and say that data as a variable, and the other part is like release that data, right? So is that first value that we have there, like a default value?
Yeah. We can set, yes, we can set that as the default value.
And of course, an example, but I will give you an advice. Don't use IDs that long.
Yes, I
because
would use just
it's
to
just an
show an example.
Create short IDs. It will help you a lot.
So, and this, you have a while that presentation, so you can pay attention very well in the slides. You will know.
So more advanced reactive process that you can have are reactive. Open the bracket and put the function inside those things. In this case, these three are the main ones that you can use for the beginning of your process. The variables created here can be used elsewhere. The same thing from the observe, that the variables created cannot be used elsewhere. And the observe event will observe an event. So if you click in a button, this function will start happening. This reactive and this observe, they are more like if I input a different value in the input, this will happen a function that will create another thing based on that input. You want to explain it better?
Yeah,
That was terrible.
You will use this more when you're using buttons in some sense, because it's when you need to force an update. So you will use this. So you can like focus on the other reactivity that we mentioned before, because this is a little more advanced and I use it not that often, to be honest.
Just to let you know that this
exists. And sometimes it's the only way to fix a problem that you have. And yeah.
Yes, we're almost there to the hands-on step. So first, you have to have the R and RStudio installed that we instructed. Install Shiny that by running the command line, and then install Flex Dashboard package by running this command line. So,
you want to go back to that one? Just 1 second there, yeah, so we can leave that one on, the one before.
okay.
Yeah, just to make sure that everyone has a chance to, if you are in R, I don't know if you already have done this, but we can start basically with this step, installing the packages.
Everyone have everything, the packages are studio, you were installing it, could you? Okay.
I know that some of the person here will have, I remember.
Yeah, I think. You're
You
good.
have it? Okay. Perfect.
Okay. This template, did you share it with them the email?
The what?
In the email, this template?
Yeah. I think
Okay, okay.
Everyone has it. If not, you can
But,
just.
yeah, maybe what we need to do is to see if you can open this file. That would be, yeah,
Everyone could run it. You just, maybe we didn't show how to run it, but go to your RStudio. When you're using Flex, you have this option over here.
Yeah.
The install ground and save. You can toggle it, and every time you save it, it will
Run
update
automatic.
your project, and because you need to render it, So this is like treat these as a PDF, and every time that you save it, you need to update a PDF. And yeah, it's going to make it easier for you.
That's the main dot RMD.
Yep.
And how do we load that into our studio?
To load it in your studio, you can already show you. There, you can go to file. Or, yeah, if you wanna go directly to your file and.
Like file.
Yeah, then open with our studio. You can open it inside our studio also, going to.
Yeah, it was already open, sorry. Just double click in the
Yeah.
in the file.
Now, if you wanna like check it out, you can follow this and save. So every time they can save, like last file save. Add it. Yeah, every time I change the line, you save it. It will be and tell me that I like it. You this one is only to show you errors and all.
Yeah, once we do the example, I think that it would be,
Variable.
it would be better because most of
So, I think
the tools that we have are basically based on the examples. If we go through the example, showcase those, everything set, yeah.
So, just to teach you something, really quick is, this is an R Markdown file, so you can treat it as an R Markdown file. So, you can run this chunk separately. You don't need to run everything, to see the results. So if you press Ctrl Enter, you're going to run the line that your cursor is on. So here I just loaded the data frame, so I can click on it here and check it out. Yeah, if you're trying to debug, if you loaded the data correctly and all, you can just Ctrl Enter and it will run the line. If you have a print statement or something like that, it's going to run, but it's going to run here on the terminal, or in the case that I printed a data frame, is going to show the data frame, but you can expect to have some output down here. So pay attention to this window and this window also if you're trying to debug and not only run the application directly. So Control Enter.
Here, as I said to you in the part, everything between this dash, we are going to have it in the application as a tag, the outer, and the output. This output here, they are showing that we are going to use Flex Dashboard. The orientation, we can have it as rows or column. Here he set source code, Pedro did this.
Yeah.
This example. So source code here we have in that. So this is just to show you in the final, you don't need to have the source code because these are just to show you clicking the applications.
Is that like the,
Then you can have the source code over there.
Here.
Yes.
so is that like the kind of our counterpart to your Jupyter Notebook?
Yep, exactly that.
And what it shows there, if you go back to application, shows that, I mean, many times, I mean, you will not see these. When you see the new shiny tools that people develop, most of the times you will, I mean, there are very few situations.
Yeah, they will not let you access the source code.
So the source code is not gonna be there. Most likely what we're gonna have sometimes, because in our case, we want for people to get access to data. We wanna have here a tab that is gonna be data source.
Yeah.
So you could, whatever you are visualizing, let's say you are visualizing precipitation or soils, you select things and then you can go to the data and download it. So, and the main goal is that we're not trying to show you visualization, but then also you can get access to your data and take it out, no? So that would be the goal. So there are very few situations that you will see the source code published, because many times, I mean, that source code there is never really.
Yeah, it's more for examples and
Yeah.
on the documentation for Shiny and Flex, you will see most of the time because they want you to teach you the how to code that, so they will give you the source code. But when it's like a project from a real project, people will probably hide the source code for security reasons or just because they're not that impressed by their code, and me included. I don't share my source code that much. So what?
No, just go.
Mhm.
As I showed you before, this first chunk, we have our setup and build files. These are going to load our ledgers mostly and load the data. Because this will be running just once, so
Yep.
not be loading the data in the following code, we run here, the first
Yep.
part, and then we build our.
Yeah.
That data is already inside of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the arm, the iris and the.
So the tag inside, you will always put R because it's our code. So we're just telling the interpreter that it's an R code, and the setup is what Gustavo just mentioned. It will only run once, because if you're doing this data loading in other chunks, like here, every time that your page has an update, if the user changes a drop down or the slider, it will load the data again. You can expect a lot of performance issues if you start doing that. So try to load the data, and not only that, manipulate the data if you can on the setup. But of course, when you have interactivity and more dynamic features, you will have to upload the data after setting up it. So, yep. And also just notice, yeah, the runtime Shiny is something really important, because me and Gustavo, we forget this every time, and we start getting errors, and we look at one another and was like, oh, I remember we got that error, but we never know, never remember. Is you're telling it that you're going to use some plain Shiny functionality, so that the interpreter knows and gets this done for you. One quick thing also, this three dashes here are important. These three characters here, they are important. Don't forget them. If you do this and forget one and try to run, you can already see that the chunk got updated and it's not correct. And if you try to run this, you will get an error. So pay attention to these characters, they're really important.
The shortcut to do this, you can have control, and.
I just copy and paste
I-
it.
I just, it's.
Can I ask a quick
It's
question?
memory.
So,
Hmm?
sort of rewinding to something you said about loading the data every time that something changes and so forth. I get the impression that what you're saying is that you can, that there can be multiple iterations of some parts of the code based on your interaction with the widgets that you
Yes.
put in there. But that you can selectively set things up so that some data persists and gets loaded once, but other stuff you can interact with and update and so forth. Is that?
Yeah,
that was-
totally correct, yes.
Yes.
Even some parts that Pedro was talking are like a listening. Yeah, those are or reactive or observe are waiting actually sometimes. And those parts are like, it's not like the rest of the software that run just once. This is running every time. Behind.
So a shortcut, it's Control Alt and I. Instead of creating this dash R and then dash, Control Alt I, you are going to create your.
And then what does the block between these tildes do? So
This one or
Yeah, he's talking about this, you know?
Between?
yes,
This is called chunk. Everybody can insert one with Control Alt
I.
I, okay. And you can insert just a empty chunk, and the oil code within that is possible to run.
Yeah, so everything that you type outside the chunk, it's going to be treated as text. Everything you type inside is going to be treated as code. And this creates yeah, and it creates like a finicky thing that I think most of you will know that a hashtag means a comment. But if you try to create a hashtag
Outside this chunks.
outside this chunk, it will be treated as text. So this will be a header one because it's markdown. So to create a comment outside here, you you can either like use a shortcut Control-Alt-C,
Control-Shift-C, sorry.
Control-Shift-C,
Yes.
or you can type what I just typed. This is like a quick note, just because I didn't know this when I first started using Shiny. It's just like that.
But an RMD file can have multiple chunks.
Yes,
Yes.
multiple chunks, but only one setup.
Yes, only one setup.
Yeah, so that is only a little bit.
Yeah. So I think we can show more the example.
Okay, so
Uh,
here as a
Everyone is.
Everyone has access to the example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions before we start?
about this first
First
short
impression
parts
with
here.
Markdown. Are you following?
So you would have one count there, then all your other code that won't run has to be inside the chunk.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you try,
Otherwise, you don't have a chunk at all with entire code, then everything will be treated as code, except for those, like say, those hash.
yeah, the hashtags, it's treated as comment. I think you can demonstrate this by write code, but outside the chunk, and
You can call library.
yeah, library would import a package. And since he is writing outside of the chunk, he's not even getting like autofill completions from
Yes,
RStudio.
not color as
Yeah,
as
it will
this
not get the
one.
syntax highlighted. And when he run it, you're going to see this library inside your application
Here?
somewhere there. So, yeah.
So it's not even.
So, back to the chunk concept. So at the top, you have this header that's delimited by 3 hyphens, right?
Mhm.
So, is it safe to say that there can be only one of those per RMD
Yes,
file?
Sure.
only one.
And
These
it always
two,
at the top?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary to get it at the top, but it's the convention, like the standard.
these two, we always put them in the top because
Yeah, the setup, like notice the R setup, and so yeah, it's like the standard to give them first, so people know what you're dealing with. And also, like I think it's good to mention that the title you see there, it's going to be rendered as the
Shiner
title
Workshop
on the
Yeah.
header.
here,
Yeah, and the author, it's going to be,
author
Can you
here.
go back?
yeah, you don't need, it's not necessary to add this information.
For
But,
example, if you change the title. Then you need to.
yeah, like,
Presentation, for example,
You wanna change the title.
change the title.
here, presentation.
Yeah,
So what would be the difference between those like 3?
Also, it's gonna be tabs, so we're gonna.
Yeah,
Mm.
then later on, like 6
go back there.
Yes.
So,
We can start from that section.
yeah, okay, so the difference is, the first time that the first thing that we will see is the header, that will bring the information, it's separated by those 3 hyphens. Later, when you're separating columns, you will have more hyphens. And I was asking Gustavo, I think on Thursday, like, do you have to put like a certain amount of equals or hyphens to get a column? And I don't know the answer, to be pretty honest. I just copy and paste them because it
Just put a
works.
lot.
Yeah. So treat this as a cascading style. So the first thing is going to control the page, as Gustavo mentioned, and below it you control columns or rows. to control pages, you separate it by the equal sign, the equal character, below the template. And yeah, I think the difference between the header is the amount that you're using, and yeah, the header will be first.
So here, as can I? Is everybody okay? Any more questions? No? Okay. So moving forward here, we have here the name template. And then we have several equal signs here. And here we have template. So what does these equal signs mean? They mean that between them, and I'll go down here, and the other, like here we have now try it yourself, and here you can have try it yourself. Everything between them will be a page. So everything between those two are a page. So everything in this, it's inside the template page. So in here we have these inputs. This sidebar, it's telling the R Markdown that everything between these dashes and here, everything between them, this, and this, are inside this sidebar here. So as Pedro mentioned, these are like cascades. You have this is the father, and this will be the son, and then we can have the grandson. That will be between these hashtags here. So this will be chart1 dropdowns. If you can see here, we have chart1 dropdowns that are these two here.
And just to explain the syntax, R Markdown is derived from Markdown. So the three hashtags means a header 3. So if you put 4 hashtags, it's a header 4, and it will shrink the text size. If you even wanted to put 1 and had a big text, you
including 4 hashtags.
You could even not use hashtags at all.
You see that the size of the text is
It's-
different.
Yeah, if you don't even use hashtags at all, you will have just plain text. So if you're searching for syntax, you can search for Markdown syntax is the same. And you can also use HTML if you're familiar with that, it will also work.
Question.
Yep.
Can there be more than one template per R&D file, or is there?
Yes. I would like advise you to name them like in a unique way, just so your code is more organized, but I think it will run. I think the name is just like a convention.
So what's the name of that template?
Is the name of the page.
Yeah, it's going to show
Like
the
here we
name of
have
the page.
template, and here you can have
You can
template.
create another one just.
Let me change it for another name, like
So it's all,
Page
the
one.
name of your template is template.
Yeah, but if you create another
here,
one,
page 1. Just the name of the page.
it will work, but it will be confusing.
So if you had, let's say, just to imagine, if you had a screen where you were like selecting fields that you wanted to look at, and then you moved into another screen where you were looking at one field or looking at soils data on it, you'd have like one template for each one of these screens, and then all the different controls inside each template.
Yes, yeah, yes. Like, treat the,
I would say template was just.
yeah, it's just a name, yeah,
It's just a name.
Those are blocks that means pages
yeah.
instead of template.
Like, treat the equals as a page, a tab. So here I created 2 of them. So they are not, it's not necessary to be unique, but as I mentioned,
will
it's
be confusing
it's
for the
confusing
user.
for a user, it's confusing on your code, so
So are those pages delimited by the equal sign?
Mhm.
yes,
like
the
here.
equal signs, yes.
The different controls in them are delimited by the hyphens?
Yeah, treat the hyphens as controlling the columns or the rows. You will set columns or rows to control, but yeah,
Like here, between them, we have nothing here. And if you go to the,
it's an empty page.
exactly.
Yep.
So everything between those equal signs will be in a page.
Quick question. So we're using the iris and COWS data in this,
Mhm.
but if you were to input user data, is that like a file input widget in that? Is that how you get in the data in there?
Yeah, if you're letting your user input data, yes, you would use a widget. So that you would provide him like a button, and this button would bring the file explorer. Yes, you will need to treat this as a widget, and you will need to code the feature.
Even you can use a code, if you don't want to use a checkbox with a button to open your own data through a button in with a user interface way, we say. You can use a function that just read a Excel or CSV or whatever you want, and it's, of course, you will read just the same file.
We have one, like, we have one application that is called, and it's on our website, it's called soil test. So for those ones that they work on soil test, there is one that we usually start thinking about what is the best method for, or if we need to use which one of yeah. And we have one that basically is relative yield, no, and the soil test value. So in that application, you will get there and you will basically be able to start calculating all the different functions like K-Nelson and 10, 12 different methods, and you will visualize the methods. But also you have a tab, like a widget, that you will just click there, no? And you will get to basically upload an Excel file that the way is easy. You are getting your relative yield in one column and the soil test in the other one. So it's only basically a file that will have two columns, no? And once you get that, you will start making your own plots. Yeah, simple as that, no? So that's the way. Shiny needs to be simple because many times you're not giving a manual. So it needs to be something simple so the user can interact quickly.
Yeah, and about this, like letting your user upload data to your application, you need to be certain that the data is formatted in a way that you.
Yeah.
So expect to code some more just to treat the data or to check if it's in a format that you like or that you need.
Always expect the worst. from the
Yeah,
users.
always
They
expect the
use
worst.
your
Well,
application.
that's why I went to this example, because for me, it's like, it needs to be super simple, the example and the way that you visualize something, so. This is in percentage, and this might be Phosphor Bray or Melik or Olsen, and it's on ppm. So it needs to have those units. If it doesn't have those units, then the user is gonna visualize. That's the dangers of basically not having good information or making a Shiny too complex, no?
Yeah, all that is related, or the branch of psychology that is called user experience and user interface. It's how to design in the best way the page to get more useful that page for the users.
That's why I mentioned the preparation, that you draw the thing before to know where everything will be. So plan this, so can have the user can have the best experience. So it's clear for the user what it has to do.
And just to sum this up, I think it's important to show like an actual workflow on how you would deal with this. So if you want to import, to let the user import data, oh, but you don't know how the widget works, what I would do is you can come here, you can get a new tab, and you would search for Flex Dashboard since this is the framework that you're using, and you can search for your functionality on Google, or you can search it directly on the documentation. So you can search for like load data widget. and you can expect the first one. Oops, sorry. And you can go through the documentation. It's not that easy. It's not that like straightforward to find what you need, but that's the way it is. You can also use large language models as ChatGPT, but yeah. So this is what I would do, because we, even us that we use this a lot, we don't know the syntax for everything. So we need to search the documentation like daily during the development. If you want to move on, so this one.
Okay. Move on. Okay. So here, as I mentioned before, the part with the input. Here you can have the select input. Can you put the display there?
Huh?
Display? Like
Okay.
Yeah, you can, yeah. We can
Ah, split. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just
Yeah.
get this.
Yeah, that.
I'm doing it.
So here we have the select input. Select input is the select input that we are calling the variable that the user will input as a scatter x var. The label x is variable, x is variable, and the choices for this
Yeah, sorry, the code, this is my fault.
the choices for this, we are going to get a vector or from the table, from the iris df table. This is just regular
That's just the basic function for extracting the structure of the CSV value, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're extracting the names of the
If you want to hard code the choices, you could instead of having this, you could add a list of choices here. You don't need to get it dynamically from the data frame. You can get all of the columns. Here I got the first up until the fourth one, because the last one is the species, so I left that off. And yeah, it's not, you can use this as you want, pretty much.
and here the selected separated is the default
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
Just a quick note, you don't need to use this label equal choices equal if you put them in order, and the order will be like this: the ID, the label, choices, and your default value. I will advise against not using the parameter names. Yeah, just input ID. I don't usually add input ID equals, because I program in Python and I usually don't use that in Python, so that's why I don't use that, but you can and you should.
And yes, so we can see all the columns of this iris data from this.
And if you you can see the graph updating. So this is the dynamic aspect of the two.
And here's the other one, the y.
Yeah. In the inputs, we organize this code to first we coded the inputs, and all the inputs that we put on the sidebar, they don't need to be on the sidebar. If you want to put it on the main part of the page, you can go for it there. That's not an issue. And after we display the inputs as outputs. I want to point some stuff out. So this is inside page 1, separated by the equal signs. The inputs are on the sidebar, separated by this, because this controls columns or rows.
But if you want this to be a sidebar, I have to.
Yeah, you have to use this sidebar, and that's why Shiny is pretty simple and good, because coding a sidebar, it's harder than you think. Actually coding with CSS and HTML, it's harder than you think. It's not.
What are the different options that you can have for that, like make a sidebar and not make what?
We can have different columns of them.
The here.
Yes. And, no, where you can see them.
Yeah, this one is not. It's not helping me.
No, yes,
Yeah.
we can have this layout.
Yeah, so here the sidebar, it's showing you the input sidebar. Here you have a global sidebar, so even if you
Have different pages,
yeah, if you
have
change the
different
page, the
pictures.
sidebar will follow you. But if you want a sidebar just for one tab, we are using a global sidebar for that example. Here, if you not use the as we did, it will be like stuck in a tab. Like
Right, but are there other things that you can make?
other than a
as
sidebar,
sibling Sidebars, like a bottom bar or a menu.
a
bar.
footer and a header. Yeah, so the header,
You
that
can, but are
Flex
a little hard there in comparison with
Then,
the program Tiny. So this is the most simple way to program Tiny. If you want to create a very flexible app, you need to use a giant Tiny in the pure way.
yeah, the
raw
plain
way.
Shiny.
That is very or much more complex than like this, but you have a lot of flexibility. And even if you want to use a
Yeah, like the main components of
you
a
need to change the language.
web page that I would say would be the sidebar, the header, and the footer. The header is controlled by the first element here. The sidebar you can easily create like this, and yeah,
Got the main content. of the
yeah.
page.
And the footer, I never coded a footer with Flex Dashboard, so I don't know if they have like a already implemented footer. I don't think they do, because footer, they are more finicky. You need to control size of stuff and if you're fixed or not. But like Carlos mentioned, if you go to plain Shiny or even Shiny Dashboard, they will have
I think we
more.
you can, but you need to extract a lot with another more complex thing.
Yeah.
So this is awesome. Please continue.
Yep.
Sorry for that.
No, it's fine.
Sometimes we put, I mean, on the footnotes or on the bottom part of the page, we just probably put logos
About us.
or about, or
Yeah.
contact, or sometimes.
Copyright and yeah.
Sometimes we put who are the sponsors of the visualization tool, so we just save that space for the logos.
Okay, so continuing the cascade effect. Here we are controlling columns because we told that we wanted to control columns. The data width, you can ignore this for now. You're just like controlling the width of the column, but and I'll put this in full page. You have I put one column, so one chart would occupy a full column, and below it I had another column with two charts. So here, this first column is controlling, it's containing one plot. This column is containing two plots. Yeah, and again, if you want this text to be bigger, you can. If you want this text, it's not even showing because it's too big. If you want this to be a plain text, you can. It's all controlled by Markdown. The code inside the chunk is, I will highlight what is shiny and what's not. So first I would say that this here, from here all the way from here, it's not shiny. It's just a plot that you would code in R using ggplot.
With exception of this part.
Yeah,
That we are using the input from the Instagram graph as the X in the plot.
X values, yeah.
Remember that is bar is a name that or one of the regions.
Sorry. Yeah, here. So this is the input ID. So this becomes the variable that we're using down here.
So the code for the plots, it's pretty much R. And yep, the shiny part would be just creating a variable or an object to store this output. In this case, is a plot, and you're calling the render plot function. And Gustavo mentioned you have several of those, like render text, render plot, render UI when you need to update the UI even, and you just display it as plot output
The same,
with the same ID as you created, like histogram out here. So this is like the simplified like explanation.
And then if you wanted to create a new calculated value from the data, you would just put it in there as well for the ggplot.
Yes.
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 Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
do-
If the
Text or
yeah,
other type of kind of.
if you need to treat this input, this variable in some way, or use this to update the data in some way, you would do before here the output. And yep, you can even do inside the output. I don't know, like the best standard. Yeah, like before the ggplot, you can even do it here. I don't know the standards really for this. I know that both work. I would recommend putting inside just because
You can create there, you can create a variable by just taking the.
yeah, you can create like a
the name,
variable
and you can call any name. It's just could be the
Yeah.
average, it could be the.
like this. You can go like this and code more stuff if you want. I would put inside just because of the reactivity, just so you don't have to use the reactive maybe, and you can maybe avoid issues with that, but maybe.
Is the assumption that chunks get executed top to bottom?
Yes, they
Yeah.
do, but
Exception, you would say, with a line, with a break or something else.
But, so if you're manipulating the values of some variables, you could, as part of, like you just talked about, manipulating data inside that chunk, you could use
if you can access
that
it,
in the next chunk, and it would be the updated version.
yeah. I think Shiny stores them, Gustavo can correct me, on a local storage. So after the variable that you created gets stored, you can use it anywhere, I
Yeah,
believe.
that
But
depends.
after,
Have the observe and the reactive. The observe, the variables created inside the observe cannot be used in other places.
They're local to a chunk.
yeah, they're
Yes,
local
they're
too.
local to.
The observe even.
Everything inside, we have this too. Everything inside in this, observe,
You
will
could have
be
like this.
just for the observe. The variables created
Yeah.
in that place.
Everything inside the observe would be local to the observe, even that they are in the same chunk. So if you have a variable inside here, you will not be able to access here, even that they are in the same chunk.
It's a good question. How do you do, the update of the plots automatically? Because I noticed that when you change the code, it changes.
Oh, so here you have this run on save option,
Okay.
and then you just check it, and I'm pressing Ctrl S to save it. So every time that I save, it updates there. And yeah,
Yes.
if you go to file and
Saving all the changes.
save, it will do the same. It's just that I'm pressing Ctrl S. Yeah.
That's our one more thing, can be useful is. Sometimes it's hard to program something, and when you have an error, try to realize what is there. And
Yeah.
sometimes I put it, I open another markdown, I program, I don't know, the ggplot, the function, try to make sure that that part works very well, and after that, more that part.
Yeah. You can use what I mentioned before and treat this as a Jupyter notebook of some sorts, and start plotting the stuff here, but you can see that, oh, I got an error, because you need to run it now. You need to run the code like manually until you get there. And if you start doing this here, you will run into some problems. Why? Because the input here, or the variable that you're using on X and Y, comes from the dropdowns, and the dropdowns will not be available if you're using this as a Jupyter notebook or a markdown file. So that's why Charlie mentioned that he opens another one so that he can hard code this input here. Like instead of having input scatter var, you would have like sepal. You have inside here sepal with, I don't know, like this. And when he notices that this chunk works, this chunk of code here works as he needs it to, he comes back here and add the code and just change the variable to the dynamic one. Yep. Okay, so like the debug feature to run this as a markdown, it's useful, but you need to be careful, because if you don't run everything from top to bottom, you will get errors.
Go down. And also, this thing here, the data we're controlling the size of the
Objects.
yes,
The-
the sizes of
Sorry.
the size of these things here.
Yeah.
So if one is bigger than the other, you control that you can have data width or data height.
And I think it's based on Bootstrap.
Mm.
So if you know Bootstrap, you can use the conventions. It should be the same.
Yes, as I said in the beginning, Shiny is a framework that has a lot of things inside, and one of the things is Bootstrap. Bootstrap is another framework
Yeah.
that
But
has HTML, JavaScript, and CSS inside. That makes your life very easy for building web applications. So Shiny already has Bootstrap on it.
okay, so any questions?
So instead of the CSV file, like if I want to use shapefile or JSON file and just want to create a map on
Yes.
the base map or something, is it possible?
It is, yes. You would run, you would load your data on the setup, and if you need to update it with user interaction, you would just update it here, and you would treat the same as a data frame as you would with a JSON or geodata and all that. Just make sure that it works off the app. Like if you have the code that it works, make sure that it works first, and you can put here inside and just add the dynamic aspect to it. So when you're filtering, I don't know, a county or a place, you would just remove the hard-coded element and put the input with what the user selected. Did that make sense?
Usually the reason I use for maps are really left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you have giraffe
Pretty
also.
interactive. If you can, I don't know, if you have the map with the counties of Kansas, you can touch a county and you have, I don't know, the
Information.
name or even make another event and do another.
Click there and do the purple.
The purple.
Yes. Very well. Okay. No, one that we did yet. Yes, I think more.
More okay. The example.
No, thank you. Here, so these are all shape files. This is the Pluripath map. So it's there in the beginning.
And you can download the final results.
Yes, here, like you mentioned about the counties in Kansas.
Yeah.
These are all shape files that I embedded in the code. So we on the map we are uploading the shape files and then inserting data in the as values to be shown in the map.
What is that routine code?
It's we render it as a render UI, but it's leaflet.
Yeah, it's a leaflet output.
Leaflet it's a side thing.
Another framework, but like
Yeah.
you will have like here you have a ggplot output, and instead of rendering as a plot, you would render as a UI.
Actually, you can render a
Yeah.
leaflet. You have to
Yeah.
load the library And then you can use the render leaf left and
Yeah.
then create your leaf left map in here. And then it'll be the same thing, output, leaf left map, leaf left output, leaf left map.
You can also render as a plot if you're using maps from Plotly, I believe. So it has some flexibility. You have to try it for yourself. And if you start getting some errors, like look here, maybe here's the problem.
Depends the level of interactivity that you want.
Yeah.
If you want good interactivity, this like is good. If you just see those maps, you can use a ggplot with a GMSF that is coming from the SS library, and you can see the map.
So this works great because we're opening it in R and we're running it in R, but your users won't have R. So in the output, there's a link
Yes.
goes somewhere, and
Uh-huh.
then where does this sit?
So later after you guys try it for yourselves, we are going to talk more about the advanced features. And one of the advanced features that we'll try to explain real quick is deploying. So after you build your app and everything works, you can deploy it. It's on RStudio, it's simple. You can click here, publish the application. You have to create like an account on Shiny Cloud, and you would upload it there. You have like a URL, a Shiny Cloud Apps IO, and your name, something like that. And yes, you don't need to have R installed or the packages, anything. They would just like load the URL.
Even you can pay online and.
Yeah, and if you have a custom domain, you can change the URL to your custom domain and everything like that.
So basically, Shiny Cloud is like a hosted environment.
Yeah, like your Google Drive or your
Free tiers and stuff.
yeah, you have
Yes,
free
yeah.
tiers, and
Yeah.
I think it's even more maybe. It's huh? No, I don't know that specifically, but it's the free tier. It's good enough for like toy applications and like for concepts and prototypes. If you need something like more commercial ready, you need maybe like a paid tier or even another cloud, AWS, Azure, Render. You have lots. Yeah.
So, yeah, now if
Well,
it's okay for everyone, we are going to do this part that we are code with you guys.
For this part, I loaded this other data frame that is also native to R. You can refer it as cars underscore df, or you can call empty cars directly if you want. And this section is so you guys can try for yourself. It's just one chart. Don't be scared. We can like help with any questions.
We are going to.
And oh yeah, we
have that in the presentation.
have the presentation also to.
You also have in the printed version.
But the important part here is trying to understand what you're doing, so please ask if you have any questions, and if it's not working, also let us know.
Yeah, we are going to build this very simple, just 2 inputs and 1 map in 1 page. And then, if it's okay for everyone, we can go ahead and get started on this.
All right. Possibly.
Não tá mexendo?
No.
Yeah. So let's go step by step. So in the comment that we have create a sidebar that you can always see, you will replace by inputs sidebar as in the top, and then a lot of dashes. Yes. Easy. So I will recommend you to do this and then render the application so you can see the differences that are happening by each step that you are doing. Let me know when everybody's.
If anyone.
Yes.
Me should. You good? Maybe?
Oh, it's just more 3 slides, and I will just go by the basic things, and then we can fill them. Half an hour.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe should the third line, please.
The what, sir?
The third line on the code, the code there.
Yep.
The one you want to show, yeah. No.
Sorry. And the presentation, sorry.
Yeah, when it says replace two,
Uh-huh.
that is. It's starting phases, right? Because we need to replace then.
Yes, where is create a sidebar and your
Yeah.
application, you replace two. Mhm.
Well, so in our case, the only issue is that you're missing the dashes below the.
At the end, you have to put the dashes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you're telling that this is like, an element. Yeah.
These dashes we separate.
Yeah.
And
Oh, maybe dashes, I would just copy the other one. Like, you don't
Yeah, it's
follow
just-
that I do.
Yeah.
I go to.
Yeah.
Or put a lot.
Yeah, I don't think like, yeah, you have a.
It's just a set of values.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a set.
Yeah.
Fixed number.
No, yeah, a lot can help you visualize where the section starting and ending.
You actually put that on there. Is there a way to send that?
Bring it on the tool.
On the tool,
Bring up the- Yeah.
So, yes, but it's not that common to use
Yeah.
this. You would use an element, you have a HR. It's a HTML element that is like basically a bar. And this is more like what we use when we need to separate something. So it's just an HR.
and brackets.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we move to the next step? Everybody's okay? All right. So instead of create a title for the set of controls, we replace three hashtags, practice drop downs, or any name you want.
I think that's next in class is a new experience for me.
This is unrealistic.
Okay, can I move forward? Next, moving on create, hashtag creating the first input for the X variable. We're going to replace to this big thing.
I recommend you copy and paste.
Copy in the up part and paste because we are just changing the input ID. Yes,
So select the value.
this part, the label, and the choices, and the selected, but the whole structure will remain the same, which is select input ID, label, choices, and selected. Copy and paste because it will be better.
So, oh, it's broken. I think Carlos just mentioned, so yeah, we will fix it in our website. If you want, I can help you with this. So here you just need to the site. You would add this. Just so you know, interpret this is the sidebar.
Yeah, we put that selected inside a chunk, right?
Yes. We replace the hashtag create the first input ID by this this thing. It's easier to copy and paste from the top
What happened
and
is,
replace the input ID by this values.
Only that. Yeah.
So we gotta show just in case.
this is because
So you
of
go to,
Markdown and
Yeah.
it's only
You go here.
that's Markdown, it should have the space. So,
It's better to do like this that you have here. Control C, come here,
here, the input.
Control V, and then change these values here.
So
This, and this.
type everything.
Yes. And when you are programming, you kind of do the same thing.
This one. Because if you have duplicate IDs, it will break. So just change the IDs as what's written over there.
Oh,
Practice.
I forgot to mention something very important. The IDs have to be unique.
Yeah.
If you use the same ID for different things, your app will break.
If it doesn't break, you will start showing the same widget or the same output everywhere. But it's more probably that.
Yeah, so
that it will break.
input ID and output ID must be unique.
So does the inputs identifier have to be unique?
Yes,
Yeah.
this,
So if we had an inputs before, do we need to call this one the audience? One on top,
on top? On top, where?
like when we're creating the sidebar. Name? No, when we're creating the sidebar.
Oh, yeah, here.
Up there.
No,
Is
this,
that a code word or is it the name of a variable?
no, this is just, this can be any, yeah, any text. The only thing,
But the fact that we use one above called inputs, does that not make it?
No,
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 no.
because it doesn't, it's not exactly the same.
Okay.
yes, the only thing to create a sidebar here is to have this sidebar here.
Yeah.
And this dash.
And the dash, yeah. Make sure that
Yes.
reads.
X bar somewhere earlier or where they keep like it?
Yeah, just a name, like a new name, you can call it anything, just make sure that. Let me say, the empire of the widget, we use, union. It's like, next one. Where we want, one, unit. Unit. Now, widget, not true, be just one. Or, I use it, particular you can use data, you can not. Big, now it's selecting which is the same.
Within the quote, then the quote, that's like.
Yeah. You can see all the experience on it. Name of the items, the name of the No, that's how you. Some people running, but you know, it's.
Okay, so I have this, I have things that we
Okay.
So the next one will be like the same thing, but we are going to do it for the y variable. So the same thing, you can even copy and paste from the above, but you're going to change the input ID. This is important. They have to be unique, the label, and the selected one.
You can try running from. Oh, no, maybe. You're missing they go maybe. Yeah, after the currency. After the card. No, card. Card, yeah. Yeah, card, yeah. Yeah. Card, yeah. Card, yeah, currency. Oh, okay. And here also. Okay. Yep. No, should be. They didn't just like. There's another one. Cost. Oh, cost. Yeah, this thing with commerce. Yeah. Okay. But not the last one, the last one. The last one is yes. Good. Yeah, the last one's okay then. I'm not sure. Next. No, because I think you're running, not in the road that is, I mean, I'm getting one. There you go, some care. Oh, yeah, you're right. Excellent. You can go with it. Claro, porque lo van cambiando, lo van creando para. El user lo único que va a hacer es acceder a la website, van a más y cosas que vos ya diseñaste. Porque no tienes un compil, o sea, computacionalmente la website tiene mucha todo atrás. Todas las figuras hechas, todo. Por ejemplo, las todas las combinaciones que existen, no puede vivir usándolas. Esa es la idea, que no está haciendo, no está poniendo el código de uso. Y eso nada más está haciendo visualizaciones, tomándolo en cuenta. Es algo que es muy friendly, entonces para los chicos de la universidad. Sí, es mucho. Y hay muchos ya que vas a encontrar nosotros un tutorial que hicimos. Sí,
Pues,
This is how tutorials, I can, I mean, once we finish our website, then just do this and put it on the. This is.
Yeah, and then the second part. Then you will just copy this and then change the next.
That's what he only got my drop down, this division, I see one another, was actually a chart. After it created that column and put it in the chart. No, so this is the. For some reasons in the chart. You just need to put it like that, then once you get the. The drop down, pretty good thing. Because of it's not rendering because the other column is not rendering. So if you just continue with the tutorial, we'll get off the board. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, we need to write more. Yes. Yeah. So you just need to create the.
Yes.
Yeah, the next one.
Yes, so let's create a plot. So we'll have this, we'll do the same thing, we'll replace this by column, data width, and this dash lines below.
I put here, because we might need to finish the examples.
Okay.
That I put, we can put the website
Mhm.
in China, and also we can send them the link to your tutorial.
Mhm.
And we have in the other website, so I put it to website here.
Okay.
They are at the end, so we can get out of the PowerPoint and show those two things to finish once we finish this.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Next, this will be huge. Oh no, not this part, but create a title. Just 3 hashtags and practice one to create a title for the plot. And this will be huge. So, but here we are basically getting the scatter plot from ggplot, and points to pay attention here. It's again the ID of the plot, this render plot, and then we are using the inputs that we just created, that are this practice X var with after the input $, and this input $, practice. Then are the other one that is the other one that we created. In this, you're just creating the plot, creating the object of the plot. In here, to speed up, we have the same thing. Same code is there. The same code in here. In chart 1, in the other page, we have the almost the same thing. It's important to change this this ID and these ones. Yeah. And these ones, because otherwise the name of the plot will be different. So
You can go
column chart 1 will be the same thing,
changing the IDs.
Maybe you can go back to the PowerPoint.
Mhm.
To show the.
I'm really liking the sort of rapid prototyping / discussion support tool.
Yeah.
Like a good, fast way to iterate a design for what you guys mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out what your stakeholders want.
And I think that it's better to do it if you can, it's better to do it with your stakeholders. Because I think that the way that they receive the information or the way that they want to visualize the graph is quite different. So I think that if you have a chance to involve them on the process, because what Gustavo was saying at the beginning is this, we spend a lot of time on trying to think about, sometimes we say, should we use 1 page, 2 tabs, how many tabs, and what do we want to visualize? Do you want to visualize, because you can do bars, lines, boxes. Sometimes we do radar charts. I don't know if you are all familiar with those radar charts. That sometimes a radar might help you to visualize 4 or 5 variables. So, but it all depends on a little bit on what is input from the stakeholders. And I think that's a key aspect there on innovation. And it's I always tell even from my team or my students, we say it's a way to move out of the paper. And then just to make sure that the data doesn't die. Because in many situations, once you finish publishing or working or finishing a project, most of the times the data goes to a paper and dies. And this is a way that to make sure that it doesn't die. It goes into an application.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As a part of my PhD project, I'm working on geospatial, geostatistical data.
Yeah.
From soil proximal transfer, and I have to work in R and GIS simultaneously. So I have to do something in R and then do something in GIS such as grading.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this
You can put it here.
Yeah, like I can make a
All the maps.
template or like everything at one multitasking window. So because each year we have several fields, and for each field we have to go through all this process.
Yeah.
So once we have this one, we can just input our data and get the results like visualization, grading, and everything.
Yeah. The Senegal tool that he showed as an example at the beginning, in that tool he has like all is georeference data. We have basically data from productivity in different districts on crops, economics, social, precipitation. So we have data from environment, from productivity, from economic, from social.
Human. 5.
Yeah, so all GIS, georeference data sets, and then what we start doing is to start visualizing and comparing districts.
Exactly.
And you can start comparing, okay, why one district is having high productivity of maize, but maybe high mortality. And the other one might have the same productivity, lower mortality. So, and that's how the way that we are using this framework is to start helping people to visualize multiple data sets. Yeah.
And lastly, to display the plot output, and the ID, which has to be, I'm pointing here without a point, we have to be the same as this one. We have practice plot, and here, practice plot. And rendering everything, in the end, we'll have your first step.
Yeah, you could, I mean, so I can go quickly, but just to show, but nothing, I mean, I don't want to distract, but we will send these resources, but there are a few apps. I mean, this one that we did last time that is just for soil test, and it's a simple one, so you can just put information soil test, you can look at different soil test applications, so, and also you can put data. So I think that we have a data set example here, so you can, for example, you have this data, no? And then, so you see the column, this one is called relative yield, no? And here you have like K-Nelson calculation. So based on K-Nelson calculation, that is your threshold. But you can use modifying arsenic. Or we can do another improved version of K-Nelson. So you can display from the same data set, I mean, multiple analysis and very fast. I mean, no, like linear plateau, quadratic plateau, Mr. Leach. So, and then what I mentioned before is this, you can also make sure that what is your data, results of your data, the code. I mean, in this case, we have the code.
In the about section.
An about section is basically that we were working with first. But
Here have the option to upload your own
yeah,
data.
so here is the option that we mentioned before, that you can upload. You can browse. We browse, and then you will upload, and then you will upload this, no, exactly. X and Y, Y is on Y, Y is on X. So, and you can, I mean, if you want, let's say you got data from a farmer, you can just upload it and then immediately start doing all these here methods. You don't need to know anything. You can just start loading and sending graph.
I should not say that, but this is the most open way to create those dashboards. You have another type of ways to create dashboards, but in which you can use Tableau Public or Power BI or another free software. But we are more in the way that create a reproducible code, and also that everybody that can or wanted to access to the data they code, they can.
So how many times you get to predict? I mean, you wanna say, I'm building a model that make a prediction, no? And you wanna do predictive observed figures. And so you have here, we did an application that has all the predictive observed, and then if you go here, you can click on metrics and add metrics, and you have like, when a reviewer is, or when someone is asking you any calculation, mean square, root mean square, or I mean, RMC, MSE, or I mean, R square or concordance, I mean, coefficient. So you can just do comparisons of, as soon as you have your data of what is predicted on your model, what is observed, you can enter your data and then just build your plots.
But the code behind it might guarantee like huge, right?
No, not necessarily, because if you go to the data, you have the data and you have, I mean, so you have what is the data. And again, in many situations, remember that these are pages, no? So you don't want to put more than 3 or 4 pages. You don't want to make it too complex. And you want to make it simple as possible, no? Because our main goal was to make sure that there is a, if you look at many papers, publications in terms of remote sensing, modeling, I mean, you name it. It doesn't matter if you are working in soils, in crops, in weather. Most of the times you are, at some point, you're gonna finish doing this. And the problem is sometimes they are telling you, well, you only put R square. R square is not really a good agreement in terms of, I mean, predictive observing. So then you say, okay, what are the best metrics? So, and then here we went through many multiple, and we just say, okay, here you have 25 metrics. Most of the times, the MAE or root mean square or CCC are the most relevant when you're looking at agreements on predictive versus observed. I wanted to put something that was easy to do, that people can just use it, you know, and it's open. So that was the main idea. And you can, here the same, you can grab your data and open it and just put a CSV, you know, simple, that has an X and a Y, call 2 columns only, and just put it there, and you will plot, and you will start. We start seeing some publications with these figures, that they can just cite the paper and then saying you don't need to waste too much time on doing this. And we have also tutorials. So Gustavo did, I mean, we can put a link to our website here with all the packages, but we also have a website here that, I mean, we need to move, but we also have a tutorial
Yeah, it's on the next one. Yeah, thank you. So Gustavo also did a tutorial. So we have a tutorial on this on Shiny Workshop, so we can just send that tutorial too. So to make sure that it's available. So there are multiple possibilities, and with Shiny Editor too now, I mean, there are multiple possibilities and multiple approaches that you can use. I'm trying to think about the other apps. Well, this is something that even we did with Iowa soybean. It's a little more complex. I will show you just very briefly. It's a little bit more complex, but we did this with Iowa soybeans because it's a tiny complex, because this one is basically you need to introduce data from yield monitor. You enter 3 years of yield monitor data, and then what the application does, which is very simple, is just like creating stability zones and then making recommendations. The recommendations are based on a publication that we did on what is the optimum seeing rate based on different yield zones. And then the idea of this application was very simple. One, for the farmer, before you will take a decision of what is your seeing rate, to simulate. It's like saying, like, when you get into a plane, the pilots flying those planes, they have many simulator hours. So what we wanted to do is to kind of the same one and make sure that farmers, they kind of simulate an exercise, you know? If I put more seeing rate, or if I put less, what is my economic optimal? And then we have a cost analysis there too. For different yield categories, right?
You did a question about the maps. Those maps was done with ggplot instead of Linklet.
Yeah.
There is not any interactivity. We just wanted to see those yield maps.
And for example, in our team, we have an account on Shiny, no? So, I mean, and then, I mean, we don't pay much, and we have access to, I mean,
Apps,
it's a 50.
yeah, it's between 40 and $50, I believe. We have unlimited apps with lots of access. It's like pretty like a fair price. Because right now we're going to go real quick over some advanced features. And one of these features is the point. You can just point this on AWS, Azure, Vercel, any cloud service that allows you to deploy with a Docker file, you can. And I think the cheapest is Shiny.io cloud. Because it's also easy. So you just click some buttons and it's there.
Data. Then it Kansas.
ShinyApps.io. Oh, did it say the Shiny Cloud in that one?
Yeah, it's well, we didn't mention this in the beginning, but Shiny is also available in Python. So if you prefer Python, go for it. We have other options in Python, as to Dash, Streamlit. So just do your apps.
Different kind.
So here is one that Cloud, Carlos was working on. So it was on protein and oil quality. So we were obtaining data from farmer fields. We use data from satellite to make predictions, and then we're basically using a model just to build those predictions across different counties. So plotting everything at county level. And you can just start looking at data from different counties in terms of oil and protein.
You can see the values in comparison with the national mean. Gustavo, can you change your county comparison? And select some counties. You can select different states and also some counties. This is for Kansas. Select another state too. And select from Alabama and Kansas, and you can make a comparison.
So then you see all the possibilities, no? I mean, we're showing you, and there are many more. We haven't explored everything on Shiny yet. I mean, But Gustavo, this data, this one that we did in Senegal was one of the most challenging. I mean, more because we are combining data sets from multiple sources. No, it was not all coming from us, but we were getting data from CHIRPS or data from a survey that is DDGS, that is a survey that they use on Africa for social studies. So, and then we were reframing, reshaping the data in order to be especially same resolution to make sure that everything is comparable. So sometimes, I mean, yeah. And then we wanted to start building things that they can communicate data, start integrating data sets.
So good question. The way that you organize this, then you created a sort of general landing page for your group on Wix. And
Yeah.
then from there, you point to all the different Shiny apps. Is that?
Well, in our cases, these are our shinies, the ones that we did in our team.
Right. But on Shiny
different
apps.io, you can't make a landing page with all of them.
You can,
You can.
you can, yeah. If you want, you can, yeah.
A shiny app, your main page,
Yeah.
but then you start making your other shiny apps inside.
Yeah.
It's totally different. You can do that. Gustavo, even, I think his personal website. Shiny app.
It's a shiny app.
It's a shame.
So,
You can show it.
you
You can show it.
You can not only build
I remember one day I was looking at the website and I say, what is this guy doing?
you can not only build like a dashboard, you can build.
It's a nice way to market yourself.
anything.
So yes,
Anything you want.
as I said, this is not reactive and this is not Flex dashboard. I use pure Shiny. So here we have an about me section, and here it's just thanks. We have those things, skills. So yeah, we have these things.
Some will be able to say more, but.
Yeah.
Consoles that we develop, it's not easy to program them.
Yeah, because it's more pure shiny. It's
Yes.
like, yeah.
You're going to be working more with HTML, CSS, even JavaScript if you will, and it gets harder.
so yeah, the possibilities are endless, no, if you wanted to develop things. And again, it's not expensive. I mean, it's not moving into a professional. If you really are, if you are working on a project that you have enough funding, you can build a professional, website and simulation. But for me, this is like the beginning of making sure that you move your publications and your data into something that is closer to professional, no? But it doesn't require like building a professional tool, it might cost, today it's $50,000. They're asking sometimes some companies. And here you can build something if you have the knowledge with much less.
This fits a really nice niche though.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've managed AWS infrastructure with like a monthly bill of 6 digits, okay, so
Mhm.
big stuff. And Amazon teased this thing called Honeycode for a while, which was like this rapid prototyping idea. And then they just let it go, they killed it, right? And so there's nothing that lets you do this kind of experimentation
Mhm.
easily integrated into their environment,
Mhm.
right? But the way that the 21st century works, people don't want to see your paper, they don't want to see like.
They don't have time. They don't have time. They don't have
Nobody
time.
got time for
Yeah.
that, right? So, but being able to mock up a functional prototype, and then they say, oh, I don't like this. You say, wait, how about this? And you do that, then I think that's a winning move for so many different projects.
Yeah.
So thank you for.
Yeah, and we have, for example, Pedro is working on a last one that we are building now. That is, we have a variety trials at the university. These are 40 years of data sets on corn, wheat, soybean, all the crops. And then what has happened in the past was that in many situations when the data is released or published in a paper, the farmers already took the decision what hybrids they want to use, because usually, in October, they are taking the decision as soon as they're harvesting. And this book is coming out in February. So what we decided is to start putting together like a tool with all the historical data that people can use it, compare it, and then as someone is sending, for example, harvesting a location, they can send us the Excel file and we can put it in quickly. So the next day, after you finish harvesting, sending an Excel file, the next day you can go in and compare. So immediately like that, no? So those are the beauty of these tools. That they are, once you build the tools, you can add more data very quickly. And they're very, and for me, it's also a way to secure the data, because it's for him took a lot of time, because we went through sometimes 40 years of data. So imagine the quality and so it took us time even to put all this data in the tool.
All the funders must love this stuff, if you can show that the data is available. And
The data is all available now.
Yeah.
So now everything that you have in the past, no one was able to access to this, was in books. Now everything's available.
All other things being equal, they'll give you the money next time, because your stuff is alive and available.
But I think that the imagination is endless. So if you have ideas and if you have a project, what I'm trying to mention to them, and I think that they already got it, in fact, they already passed me, is that the idea is that not to end the project on a paper, or not to end the project on a report, to make sure that if you can, to end the project with this. Because then you will leave something behind.
This one, we developed not using Shiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Python, because the amount of data that we have for this, Shiny, I thought that it would get really slow, real quick. In fact, it doesn't. I was expecting more data, so Shiny would be okay with this. And this tool we're developing for over a year now. So it took a lot to get to this point. The first part of this tool, it was really bare bones, just the graphs and really ugly. So the process, like, to get to something more product ready, takes a while. My personal advice is start, like, even if you don't know the design or all these aspects, just get something going and then start doing on it.
And here is an example, going back to, so you can familiarize to what we discussed with Gustavo before, no? It was a challenge that in order to make this framework, right? Here we discussed with Gustavo, with Pedro a lot in terms of, we will compare hiring, we will compare years, we will compare, there was so much discussion until we kind of figured, okay, how do we keep things in? So you need to do that from work, of imagining things before you finish into getting into this, you know?
Even they ask it to finance, person I know already.
Yeah.
With research, that to see if they can understand, or because sometimes, like, we can understand.
Yeah.
Because we deal or we usually work with disabled data, but sometimes like, oh, I don't know what is that plot, what is box plot, what does mean, box plot.
That's why having once you are getting a prototype, because it is something that you can do a prototype quick, that we did with Pedro a couple of times. And I send it to a few farmers too, to ask them, can you open and see if you understand what you can do? Because the goal is for someone else, you know, if I send you the link to you guys, you should be able just to open it and play. And if you cannot understand what to do, that's a problem. Because that's the idea of the shiny. The shiny are not coming with a manual or saying, okay, first open tab 1. No, no, you should enter and say, oh, super easy. Oh, I should just, I change the crop here, I change the states, I can change years, I can add more data. So it should be in a way that it takes you a minute, but you should be able to quickly start putting things together. So
if you, this is good for us because we can interpret different types of graphs because we're data people and we're used to that kind of thing. But if you show this to a farmer, they might not have the same level of depth of understanding.
Exactly.
So the interpretation is the key here. And would there be any way of, say if you set up the graph you got there of changing the color of the bar to indicate that it was the best? Or having some text pop up or something like that.
Yeah.
We just sort of give them some interpretive.
Yes, and I think that I think that you want to do that as you start doing this kind of a focus group.
Right.
No, once you start building the bones of the tool, you can start doing focus groups so they can give you that feedback. Not to say it would be great to have a different color for the best habit, or it would be great to have a text box coming out from that one. So, and then I think that many times it's about that you need to have a figure from the farmer that is planning to use the tool to make sure that you understand what is needed. Because as a researcher, you might think that you want this, but you know that you're not building this for researchers. Yeah.
Like for this too, the next step, like of developing this is to provide more executive feedback. So this is supposed to help farmers, decide what they're doing on next season. So, I want to add more of that, like this genotype to perform better in this location under these conditions. So yes, it's totally possible. It is just a matter of really doing it.
And since we're running out of time, so this is the last slide, so.
So as you said, there are different styles of app. Here is led to a link where you can have this more easier to change your style using Flex Dashboard. To try different formats such as Shiny after you got very familiar with Flex Dashboard. This link has a welcome to Shiny with some tutorials from Shiny. You can add custom designs with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, such as my website has JavaScript to show those things in to change the things I've done. And you can deploy, as we were talking, on Shiny. Here is the link. And you also can deploy with AWS, Azure, Google, or other web servers. Here's a link to deploy on AWS. Step by step, this tutorial is very good. And also you can create a library from your app. If you don't want to deploy it, you can create a library. This is very complicated, but you can make your users use your app just by loading a library, the name of your app, and then run a function that will open your app in their computers without having to deploy it to a web service. And lastly, practice, patience, and practice. To have a lot of patience on these things. And thank you for attending.
Yeah, so I have a question.
Yep.
So, my understanding is that all, like, what we have been covered are dealing with well, I would call them like static data, which means the data already like saved somewhere in the R program or the Python program, or the graph that were used in database. If I would, like to have the user to, or like, for example, if there's a function or if there's a button for people to upload data there. So that would be something like not only dealing with the Shiny, right? That would deal with some of the background in the database.
Yeah, you
Right,
can
that
do
would
it.
be out of the Shiny.
No,
scope.
you can do it in China.
Here.
Like, there you have that widget, please.
No.
That widget. We see the,
Yes, it's upload
Yeah.
button.
so like I mentioned, you can just Google like Flex Dashboard,
Upload button.
upload data widget, and then you will have the documentation on how to use this. You will treat this as an input. Remember that we have like input as a slider or drop downs. This is an input. And then you will get the data from the ID, the input ID, and then you have it. So Shine totally supports this, Flex supports it. So yeah, it's really possible. Are you seeing some of these features there? Is because are for them. That use that way. You so some of the functions in our Chinese are available for those regions. And it's not from another programming language or anything that we showed you on the examples. It's totally Shiny or Flex, and it's possible. It's really easy.
Oh, here, this is the ruler that we were talking to you later. This is,
Yeah.
it is like this. If you want to set a line, this is HR.
I still have another question is, do you guys have any like class? Like, teach you something like this, I know, let's say at UNL, I heard like there's the, like, statistical, we cover part of the Chinese stuff, maybe, is that true? Maybe like statistics department have something like this. So I'm wondering, like, say if at K-State, like, you also have something.
No, no, all by ourselves.
Yeah, because like all three of us have, like a programming background. I'm a computer scientist. I'm not an agronomist. That was engineering. My agronomist, but he likes to code, so I think we learned it like, by doing. Yeah, we usually we have different backgrounds. All of us has some shared or the same niche, I would say.
Yeah.
And when I need something that is very complex or more complex, my knowledge allow me to do that, I ask you to Pedro or to Gustavo, and it's the same with me, the rest of the team. Yeah, we are on 45. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just wondering with what you have here, it could be a very nice teaching model there for.
I think it is,